afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. Ali Corum and Ed Carson here with a breakdown of the action in today's session. And looky there, what do you know, Ed? We hit some resistance in this rally.
Yeah, we hit it right where you might expect it to, and we sold off pretty much right from the opening bell. There were a few stocks that did okay. Union Pacific and Anthem holding around buy points. Meanwhile, Datadog did not have a good day.
It did not. Okay, well, let's analyze market conditions here real quick. Like taking a look at the major indexes, here is the NASDAQ composite, finishing the day down 1.6% here. And as you say, hitting resistance at that 21-day line, an area that we've been keeping a close eye on.
Well, you can see, except for a couple of days, the NASDAQ has not been able to be above that level pretty much all year. And that was the same with the other major indexes. The NASDAQ was even worse because it was an outside day. The outside day means it exceeded the highs and lows of the prior session. And that can be good on a good day when we reverse higher or close high, but we reverse lower. So that it's more meaningful. It's sort of like this. We were on track. We've got a market rally attempt. We almost had a fall through day yesterday, but it's sort of like a high school student who's on a college track. Just because you're on a college track doesn't mean you're going to graduate from honors with MIT. You may not graduate from any college. You may not graduate high school. So we'll have to see what this rally does. It's still intact, but this was a discouraging day.
Yes, it was. Quick look at the S&P 500 as well, hitting resistance at the 21-day line, not an outside day like the NASDAQ. Take a look at the Dow as well, reversing lower to get back below that 34,000 level, can't hold above it, almost to its 21-day line. Let's take a look at the Russell 2000 ETF IWM, kind of holding around the same range the last couple of sessions. Let's also take a look at highly valued growth, perhaps yet another signal as to what's going on underneath the surface. Not to pick on ARK. I know you said that this morning too, but it was down over 6% today. So growth, and especially the high PE stocks, struggling.
Yeah, and that's really it. I mean, Snowflake was a catalyst, and I guess technically a couple of funds, not ARK, ARKK, but a couple of ARK funds technically have a little bit of snow, but there were just a lot of selling. I mean, Snowflake, it beat views, it guided up, but not enough. And this is the kind of sell-off, and it's sort of like, okay, it really was a catalyst, and we'll get to that with Datadog, but that was one reason. Even from the get-go, they weren't looking good.
Well, one that looked a little better, although not the strongest of closes, still got the blue dot though. What does that say? UNP, Union Pacific, up over 1% by the end of the day. Strong volume behind this move. Again, that relative strength was our stock of the day and added to leaderboard as it vied for a breakout over the 256 level.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to like about it. I mean, didn't like the action near the close, but they had strong volume. The base is only 8% deep when you consider all the volatility. I mean, it's a tiny, tiny base. The relative strength line was already at highs before today. There's group mates that are doing well. This seems to be the leader in that group. So there's just a lot of positive, but it is a tricky market. So it's just hard to make, bets even in areas that seem to be leading the market. And it is leading the market, but the market is really struggling right now.
Yeah. And just, one sentence on the quick thesis of how the transportation rail companies could benefit from the global issues happening right now.
Well, I mean, shipping stocks are doing well generally. And there is the fact that oil price spike, they might make money because they transport oil or coal, in some ways, and people might shift from trucks to rail because rail is, while slower than trucks, is something that is cheaper on the fuel side.
Okay, well, let's also take a look at ANTM, another leaderboard stock. This is in the medical managed care group. A number of players in this space looking good lately, and ANTM following up on a strong day yesterday, now trying to get above that 470 level.
Yeah, and these health insurers should be relatively insulated from, supply concerns and all these things. People are going to get their health care or not, and what have you. There was an early entry yesterday. It's maybe getting a little high from that, but it's got the traditional buy point. It's not far away from that of somewhere in the 470 area. You can argue a couple of different places off of that, but So that's doing well, as you said. A number of stocks in this group doing well. Have relative strength at highs, setting up. So that's a positive. That in the rail stocks, it's nice to see that kind of group strength. That it's not just some lone
Mhm.
wolf, as opposed to some stocks that lone wolves come in. That doesn't always work out.
Right. And others in the group, the low on 224 undercut the lows
Hmm.
from late January. So that showing a little bit of strength here for ANTM. And on the not so great side, let's take a look at Datadog in the enterprise software group. This was one of the ones that we were saying, hey, maybe it is the lone wolf in, or, few others along with it holding up in enterprise software. It's still above its low from a couple of days ago, that 224 big reversal day in the market and for a lot of stocks, but taking a huge hit today, down almost 10%.
Yeah, and this was a lone wolf in late December. It was a lone wolf after its earnings, and it seems like it wouldn't take that much for people to start talking about it again. It already had earnings out of the way, and yet even so, Snowflake's earnings hit it, and it hit a lot of stocks. There was nothing, and it just hammered it. And it's just so difficult in this environment to play anything with a high PE ratio, 343. There's a lot of great things. Accelerating growth, got nothing bad to say about the company, but it's just so hard to, this is about the best you can do to have an aggressive growth stock that is struggling to stay around near its 50-day line, which is a heck of a lot better than anything else, but it's still getting battered. There's still not really an upside in this kind of market.
Mm-hmm. All right, Ed. Well, we talked about a couple of leaderboard stocks, and it happens to be our monthly leaderboard scorecard webinar coming up here in just a bit. So if you are a subscriber or trialist, head on over to leaderboard.investors.com, click on the top banner, and we will see you all over there in about 20 minutes. And we'll see you right back here tomorrow after the close.